How you guys doing? I my grandson, he's 4 years old, and he's always asking me this question when we're reading a story. He wants to know who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. Is this guy a good guy? Is that guy a bad guy? And that seems like a cute, quaint little question for a 4-year-old to ask. But then I thought about it, and it's actually quite a profound question because what he's asking has to do with veritology and morality. He wants to know what's right, what's wrong, who's good, who's bad. And and I realized that it's not as intuitive as it might first appear. As I'm trying to figure out how to communicate to my 4-year-old grandson, I realize it's not that simple. You see, he loves Batman. Now, Batman is dressed quite foreboding, and he never smiles, and he's got this furrowed brow and this dark costume, and he's the good guy. And then there's someone named the Joker, who's very brightly colored and a big smile on his face, and he's the bad guy. So it's not always as one presents themselves that's important. And so I've been trying to figure out a way to explain to him the difference between a good guy and a bad guy. And I think I have it. And so I'd like to run this by you. I believe a good guy, a hero, is one who will help others even if it hurts himself. And a bad guy or a villain is someone who helps himself even if it hurts others. Let me run that by you one more time. A hero is someone who will help others even if it hurts himself, or serve others even if it hurts himself. And a bad guy will serve or help himself even if it hurts others. I think this works because you can't always go on how someone presents themselves. Now, but what if it's an institution or an organization? It's similar. But when you're dealing with a kind of a communal structure, you can't deal necessarily with the individual. You have to consider the organization as a whole. And so how do you know if an organization is good or is bad? Well, you have to look at their charter. You have to look at their constitution. You have to look at their manifesto. You can't necessarily trust the way they present themselves. And so we keep that in mind. Now we've got riots going on all over the nation. And the riots are being done in the name of groups that are associated with it. One is Black Lives Matter. Another one is Antifa. And we have to kind of be able to discern, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? We have to go back to some of the instances that have propagated these riots. And were the individuals involved, were they heroes or were they villains? I think we have to go back to the basics and go back to the, take for instance, Black Lives Matter. Lots of people hashtagging Black Lives Matter. And I went to do a little bit of research about them, and I went to go look at their statement of faith and or not so much their statement of faith, their statement of belief, what they stand for. It's on their website. You could look on their website, and that gives you a hint. But you have to do a little bit more digging. You have to do a little bit more research. Black Lives Matter really is part of a group that's called the Movement for Black Lives, and they have a much more extensive charter that's been printed. You can get down the PDF, and you see that the Black Lives Matter manifesto. It's a hint of the manifesto from the Movement for Black Lives, and just take a couple of things out. There's a whole litany of things there, and I don't agree with a whole lot of them. A lot of what's being propagated there is rhetoric. They talk about, Black Lives Matter does, that they're trying to stand against state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism, and something that they call anti-blackness. They use that term quite a bit. And they want the liberation of black people, and they want to disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure that's required. And they want to foster a queer-affirming network to free themselves of the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, which it's an awful lot of in both manifestos. There's an awful lot of LGBT language, considering it's supposed to be really standing for Black lives, which is kind of odd. And the only reason I say it's odd is that when you look at the number of gay couples in the United States, 83% of them are white. Like less than 6% are African American. It's not like there's a huge African American component in the LGBT community, and yet like almost a quarter of their manifesto is dedicated to those issues. It's just an interesting observation. Anyway, the point is, I see lots of Christians going hashtag Black Lives Matter. And I have students asking me, and brothers and sisters asking me, like, Antifa, they're good guys, right? Anti-fascists? I mean, we're anti-fascists, aren't we? And I'm like, I'm an anti-fascist, but I don't agree with Antifa. You see, we have to look beyond the way somebody wants to present themselves. I think a lot of people are hashtagging Black Lives Matter because they believe Black Lives Matter. Every Christian would. Do Black Lives matter? Absolutely they matter. All human lives matter because we're created in the image of God. And you can't say all lives matter if Black lives don't matter. You can't say all lives matter if unborn lives don't matter. In fact, the Bible specifically mandates that those who are in the minority, those who don't have a voice, those who have a voice are supposed to intercede on their behalf. So absolutely, do I want to stand up for the rights of my black brothers and sisters and all human life? Absolutely. Honestly, I want to stand up for the rights of Muslims, and I want to stand up for the rights of everyone, because people are created in the image of God. So linguistically, I'm in complete agreement with Black Lives Matter. But when I look at their charter statement, when I look at their proclaimed manifesto, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't agree with that. And with Antifa, it's like, well, they're anti-fascist, right? I'm like, no, Antifa are fascists. If you look at what they do, and if you look at the definition of fascism, they're fascists. Well, but they say that they're anti-fascists. Well, that's because we have to have our anthropology right. People are sinners, which means we're liars. And we know that words have meaning, and we use them as a mask. Take, for instance, you go to a movie. It says this movie is for mature audiences only. No, it isn't. No mature audience would sit through that drivel. That movie is for immature audiences only. But they're not going to put that. You say, well, look, there's a gentleman's club. No, it's not. I guarantee you, no gentleman has ever darkened the door of that establishment. It's a perverts club. That's what it is. It's a perverts club. But they don't call it that. They're using a euphemism. They're actually saying the opposite of what they mean. Women's reproductive rights. I think this is about abortion. As best I know, abortion stops reproduction. So that word doesn't belong. And if we think about a woman's right versus human rights, I don't believe that anybody would agree that one human has the right to terminate the life of another human. And honestly, isn't that what we're getting all upset about? As the wrongful taking of human life? I would hope that's what we're standing up about. I don't know that it is, because an awful lot of people have been killed in protests since these efforts, and yet I don't hear everybody standing up for them, and I don't see them getting parades or recognition when you've got people that I would say are really heroes, real heroes, people who are serving others, even if it causes hurt to their own self, even their taking of their own life. And they're not all white people that are getting killed in these protests. It's a lot of amazing people of all colors that are getting killed, Hispanics and blacks, and I think a lot of those people are actually heroes, but nobody seems to care about them. So we need to know what a hero is. We need to know what a villain is. We need to know what the charter for these organizations are. And they're standing up because they said there's institutional racism. Well, institutional racism would mean that the charter of the organization was racist. And I don't know that the police departments of these different cities are institutionally racist, or state-sanctioned racism, as the Black Lives Matter puts it. State-sanctioned would mean that there's a sanction, that there is a state sanction against African Americans. I don't see that. I don't know that there's too many real institutionally racist organizations, at least public ones. Now, if you look up, you can look up white-only organizations, or you can look up black-only organizations. And if they have a charter that precludes somebody because of their race, then that would be institutional racism. I think Yale only limits the number of Asians that they'll take in, and that's actually written down. So that would be a form of institutional racism. I would say the Ku Klux Klan, that would be an institutionally racist organization. The Muslim Brotherhood, that would be an institutionally racist organization. But those aren't really, I think we recognize that. I don't know that I would say that the police departments and the government and the laws of our land are institutionally racist. So then we have to look at a term called, well, maybe it's systemic racism. Where you see a systemic racism is, okay, it's not chartered, it's not part of an organized platform, but it's within the wharf and woof. It's in the grain of society that it's systemic. It has corrupted the system as a whole. And well, how do we know whether or not there's systemic racism? Well, you have to look at the data. You have to crunch the data. And I've looked at, I've been doing a bunch of homework online, and all the studies I'm finding, and by the way, I'm finding these studies on Google, which I'm finding, I don't know how long I can use Google because it definitely filters what I get as far as a response. But when I was searching this on Google, I didn't find any studies that showed that there was evidence for systemic racism within the police departments. I haven't found a single study to that effect. And police departments are studied quite a lot. They're all about record keeping, and their records are made available. They're public records, and so they're not systemically racist. But is it individually racist? Well, I'm sure there's lots of individual racism. In fact, I think that's one of the things that we have to get to is the real issue. Is there discrimination? Yes. Is there bullying? Yes. Is there climate change? Yes. However, I don't think any of these things are, I was going to use the word pandemic. Well, actually, that fits. I believe that COVID is not what we've been told, nor was the hole in the ozone, nor was Y2K, nor was global warming, nor was the bullying issue, nor is the systemic racism issue. You see, these are all issues that we all deal with, but they are not what we are being told. We're being told the sky is falling. The sky is not falling. Is there discrimination? Absolutely, there's discrimination. And you've experienced discrimination, and I've experienced discrimination. And you've experienced bullying, and I've experienced bullying. But let's get to the darker truth. You've discriminated, and you've bullied, and I've discriminated, and I've bullied. Let's be honest, we're sinners. The issue isn't, is there sin? Of course there's sin. The issue is it at a place where we need to radically reform and change our civilization? No, there's no evidence to that effect. And you may say, wait a minute, you're not discriminated against. Just so we know, I have been jumped, I've been beat up, I've had my life threatened, I've been chased out of areas, I've lost jobs, I've been spit upon, I have been screamed at because I'm white, I'm a man, I'm a Christian, and I'm an American. I'm a white Christian American male, which means I'm pretty hated on this planet. And I have experienced lots of discrimination. But I'm not a victim. I'm not bitter. All right, why am I not bitter? Because I don't believe that the people who were mean to me were representative of their entire group. In fact, one of the reasons that I've encountered as much discrimination as I have is because I've been trying to be the good guy. I've been trying to serve other people, even if it causes hurt to myself, even at risk to myself. So when I'm in a place, and I'll go to places that maybe they go, wait, you're white, why did you go there? Wait, you're an American, why did you go there? Why didn't you wear a Canadian t-shirt? Wait, you're a man, you shouldn't talk about those things. It's It's like, wait a minute, people are hurting and people are broken and people need help and people need Jesus. And so, yeah, I'm going to go into those places. Well, you could get hurt. I could die. That's okay. I want to be the good guy. I want to be a hero. You should want to be a hero. And the truth is if we're going to be a hero and we're going to go to those places and we're going to encounter those individuals, we're going to get hurt. But that's okay. I guess the part that's getting me is I don't believe that these organizations that are getting so much credibility right now, I don't believe they're good. And I don't believe they're heroic. And I don't believe that a lot of the people that are being exalted as heroes are heroes. And I don't believe that a lot of people who are being spit on as villains are villains. I believe we've lost our bearings somewhere. We need to get back to the facts. We need to get back to the foundations. If we don't, we're going to make foolish decisions. Now, facts. Facts. Facts, not fear. There are fear mongers out there, and they will just scream racism. They will scream pandemic. They will scream you're a hater. They will scream you down because they're fascists. They will tell you you have no voice. They will silence you. They will scrub your videos. They will take you offline. They will try to stop you because they're fascists and they're bad guys. I don't care if they dress brightly. I don't care if they call themselves anti-bad guys. I don't care if they smile all the time. If they are exalting themselves while they destroy other people's property, while they kill other people, while they shout other people down, they're bad guys. They're bad guys. And we as Americans need to raise up, loving everybody, knowing that all human lives matter. And they matter tremendously. And those lives that are at the most risk, which would be the minorities, right? I think African American, you're looking at 13% of the population. Yes, we need to stand up. We who are the larger percentage, right? The 83% or whatever. We need to stand up and make sure that all of our brothers and sisters, all of our fellow human beings and citizens are given equal treatment under the law. Absolutely. We need to stand up for the unborn. By the way, if you're pro-choice, repent because you're wicked and evil, because that's a horrible thing to kill innocent baby people. That's a horrible, bad thing. That's bad guy stuff. Bad guy stuff. I don't care if you call yourself a pro-choice advocate. Those are really great words. I love all those words. I'm a pro-choice advocate. I think people should have choices. I don't think people should have the choice to kill innocent people. So we need to separate the rhetorical, the euphemisms from the reality. We need to focus on facts and not rhetoric. Facts and not fear. Well, that's my rant about the riots. I'm sure it's not my last one. And, if this offended you, I am perfectly willing to discuss real ideas. If you just want to go on there and jump my case, I mean, you can, absolutely. This is free access to everybody. Do so, but please use some facts. Please use some reason. I don't expect you to agree with everything I say, but at least use reason. Anyway, that's it for today.